Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of the Inside Track with Scottish Sun. As usual, I've got Jim Delahunty here with me. I had a fantastic weekend's racing at Dublin with Dublin Racing Festival, up here with Musselburgh Cheltenham Trials weekend. Sandown's got the Silly Isles. You had a good look at the card, Jim. You got plenty of winners tucked away for us.
I'm hoping we might have one or two, Robert, and I'm hoping you've got one up your sleeve as well because we could do with one. Yeah, it's a fantastic weekend, isn't it? And the great news is at the moment, and we don't want to speak too soon, but at the moment everything looks set fair with the weather. Even Sandown is going ahead with its original card. It did have an 8 race chase card lined up just in case, but I think everything's going to be okay there. Leopardstown, no problems at all. It'll be up to everyone how they interpret the ground there. They do put out some very good bulletins at Leopardstown. I'm sure we'll all know exactly what the ground's like before racing starts Saturday and Sunday. Same applies to Musselburgh, fantastic track at Musselburgh. We all know how well they do there. We're looking forward to two terrific days there and a meeting, Robert, which has grown in stature.
Oh yeah, it's a cracking meeting. Plenty of horses up from the south as well, and you have to praise Musselburgh for the prize money they put up. I mean, it's turned into a real feature of the spring this meeting, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has, and we're going to talk about quite a few of the races there as the programme goes on. But I think we're going to just cast our minds back to last weekend and all the controversy at Cheltenham, and in particular around a horse called Iroko, trained by John Joe O'Neill, and the stewards had a look. I think it's safe to say they've had a wee slap on the wrist, Robert. What do you think?
Well, he was certainly very, very tenderly handled, wasn't he? I mean, I know you put him up a couple of times now. The start of the season, all this talk about the Grand National and that's the plan and whatever. You've never really known what they've been up to with this horse, and I think you saw what they've been up to on Saturday, didn't you?
I think the problem with this one is he went off 11-2 fourth favourite. He wasn't unbacked. Okay, he fell first time out to Ascot, and some of us, including me, thought he might improve enough to win that and not be. Because I thought this horse is fairly well exposed. I don't think they've got that much to hide when it comes to the Grand National weights on Tuesday week. So I honestly thought it would run on its merits. Let's not say it didn't because they left it open, didn't they? So let's not say it didn't run on its merits, but it could have run better. And when I watched that race back again a couple of times this week, the winner, Moon d'Orange, came from 10 lengths behind Iroko coming to the top of the hill. So it wasn't as if he was badly positioned and not in a good enough position to come and win the race. So I think they've got off with a slap on the wrist there. It'll be interesting to see the weights for the National on Tuesday week to see what they get. But AP McCoy now saying it might be next year before he goes for the Grand National. But it was unsavoury, let's say that.
Yeah, I mean they were open at the start of the season that the Grand National was a target. So I mean it is up to the punter to weigh up. Do you trust the horse to be running at
Yeah.
full pelt today? Is he going to be fully tuned up? Is another day the target? These are the dilemmas you have to make in racing. But it's not a great look at times, is it?
It's not a great look. And the problem is when we say that we have to make up our own minds, the assumption always has to be they're running on their merits, or else the whole thing is out the window. So let's leave it at that and move on.
Well, there'll be plenty with the prize money in Ireland this weekend. There'll be plenty of horses there running on their merits, you would imagine. I mean, the Dublin Racing Festival, is it a punting meeting for you, Jim, or is this a meeting that you just kind of watch and learn with Cheltenham in mind? Because, I mean, Willie Mullins looks set to dominate it again, doesn't he? Some of these races, he's got 4 and 5 in the race.
Yeah, it's a punting meeting from the point of view that I might have one or two picked out for the handicaps, which we'll come to. But the grade ones, it's a Mullins Beanfest, isn't it? I mean, he won all eight last year, and he's got a fair chance of going very close to doing the same again. You can't blame Willie Mullins for mopping up when there's no competition. I mean, even Gordon Elliott holds a few horses back from this meeting. But the problem with the Dublin Racing Festival, I think, is the British trainers don't bother. So that's why he mops up. The British trainers have, it's not as if it's a faraway foreign land of which we know very little. It's only across the water. It's only a ferry ride away. I mean, Mullins brings all these horses over. He's now started mopping up novice hurdles at Sedgefield and Hexham, for goodness sake. So it's not a problem coming across from Ireland to England or Scotland. So why is it a problem going the other way? The prize money is fantastic. There are one or two honourable exceptions, and this weekend Harry Derham's got a couple of horses going over there. So good luck to him. But I really just don't understand why we don't go and compete. We can't say you throw away your Cheltenham race at the Dublin Racing Festival because the Mullins horses go there, they get battle hardened, and then they come to Cheltenham and win again. So I don't understand the thinking that trainers from the British Isles don't go over there and try and get some of the prize money.
Well, it's very surprising because they actually have a good record. They actually have a very
Yeah,
good record. They've got Ireland winning handicaps at the moment.
yeah. the few that do go do well.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand why other trainers aren't picking up and going and getting their share, because it's there to be won.
Oh, definitely. Well, we'll start off with this weekend's action. We'll kick off with Musselburgh, where it's a Cheltenham Trials meeting. Whether many of these horses will go on to win at Cheltenham remains to be seen. That's the beauty of it. We don't know. There's been a few in the past. Belfast Banter, I think, was one that
Yep.
came out of one of the handicaps to go and win it at the festival. So we'll start off with the Scottish County Hurdle, Jim. You've got a selection of that, I believe.
Yeah, I'm very, very keen on Freddie Robinson for Brian Ellison. He's got young Charlie Maggs in the saddle. He, of course, rode Doc Pickney to win the Great Yorkshire Chase at Doncaster last week, showed what a good young rider he is. Key to this is he's got his £5 claim. And we say that some of these conditionals and on the flat, the apprentices, that these claims are invaluable. I think with young Charlie, it really is. He rides like a proper seasoned pro. He takes £5 off Freddie Robinson. Over hurdles at Musselburgh, the horse is 1-4-3-2. He ran in 3.5 mile handicaps at Musselburgh last season, finished 2-2-2. He certainly knows how to handle those bends at Musselburgh. I think he's quite nicely handicapped for this race on Saturday, and I'm verging towards giving him the nap in the Scottish Sun on Saturday afternoon. But Freddie Robinson, very much my selection there. I mentioned for Ravenscraig Castle for Ian Jardine. He's got Brian Hughes on the horse again. I know that Ravenscraig Castle will one day pop up, but I'm hoping it's not on Saturday, because I really think this is Freddie Robinson's race. What about yourself?
I think Jimmy Fife might be keeping the money in Scotland with Florida Dream. I think he ran a good enough race in the Greatwood, finishing fifth behind Fiercely Proud. That's obviously went and won no, sorry, had Fiercely Proud in behind him. That went and won
Yeah.
a good handicap at Ascot last month. Stepped him up in tip at Ainslie the last time, but I don't think he's more than a 2 miler. I think 2 miles is his tip. Jimmy likes a winner here. Went off a short price to win the Stairs last year, so they've kind of been fiddling about trying to find his optimum tip. I think 2 miles is it. I think he's been chapping at the door, threatening to win a good race, and I think this weekend might be his time.
Right. Well, we'll watch that race. We'll both get very strong opinions on that. Freddie Robinson and Florida Dream. The Scottish Champion Chase is one that I'm really interested in, Robert. And it's a horse I put up before and it won at Doncaster, the Kaluki Kid, trained by Nicky Richards, ridden by Danny McMenamin. He's up £7 for Doncaster, but I thought he had so much in hand that day that that's not going to bother him at all. I think he's got a really good chance here, the Kaluki Kid. And he was in a race on Sunday worth 25 grand, but I said in my column on Thursday, I hoped he went for the 100 grand race. He is going for the 100 grand race. I think it's a good decision. Traprain Laws in the race, that's a horse I really like as well. I'm just wondering if 2.5 round Musselburgh might not be his trip, but we shall find out on Saturday afternoon. But very much the Kaluki Kid for me, but I know you're going to mention Saint Seagal.
Yes, I'm a sucker for looking at trainers doing something that's out of their ordinary. And Jane Williams, as far as I'm aware, has never had a runner at Musselburgh before. Now, the prize money is what's attracted her to come up here. But she's had 5 runners in Scotland since she started training under her own name in 2008. 2 of them have won. So, a decent enough strike rate. Both of them are at Kelso. But Saint Seagal, they changed the front running tactics at Newbury. He did get a soft enough lead, which he won't get in this race because there's a load of pace in it. But
Yeah.
they changed the front running tactics at Newbury and he beat Bull Balco by 11 lengths. He's went up £8 for that. But he was the same mark that he's on this weekend. He was a pound lower last year. He was competitive off it when he was second to first flow at Lingfield in the Winter Million meeting. So I think he's one that if he gets out in front, I don't think he'll get the soft lead that he got at Newbury. But I think if he gets out in front with ridden prominently, I think he'll have a chance with Muscle. I think Muscle will be a attack that could suit him.
We've got a lot to cram in here, but I've got so many notes here, Robert. I forgot to mention that when the Kaluki Kid ran second at Ayr first time, he chased home a horse called Doyen Dubar of Pauline Robson's and David Parker's. That went on to win at Aintree, then finished second at Sandown last weekend. So that had franked that form as well. I think the Kaluki Kid's the one for me, but good luck to Saint Seagal. I think we're both going to agree, though, in the Stairs hurdle of Smoker in the Dark.
Yeah, when Smoking in the Dark won at Musselburgh in early December, I thought, Jet Legs has maybe thrown it away. Didn't he want to see the job through? But then Jet Legs just came out and really impressed at Ayr a few weeks ago. So I'm now rethinking that Smoking in the Dark might be a far better horse than we thought that day. And Nicky Richards loves these kind of races. I mean, if he targets these kind of races, he doesn't miss very often. I mean, it's going to be competitive. You've got Intense Approach in there, Gail Malla, another Jimmy
Yeah,
Fyfe horse. On ratings, Intense Approach should be winning this, shouldn't it?
yeah,
But
yeah.
Smoking in the Dark,
It's
I
a
think if you're looking for a a progressive one that might come and improve beyond, because we know a fair bit about Intense Approach at the moment. So
yeah.
if you're looking for one that's only had one run and might be a big improver, then I think Smoking
Yeah,
in the
those
Dark
two,
is worth a
Intense
second.
Approach and Gail Mallor, I have to agree. But Smoking in the Dark, definitely an improver, whatever way you look at it. However he runs at the weekend, his maiden hurdle win was 2.5. He has won a point to point, so going up to 3 miles is going to be absolutely fantastic. We can definitely agree on that. Now, I'm going to put up one in the last race, which is one of Nigel Twiston Davis's here. Now, the younger viewers, Robert, will not have a clue what we're talking about, but if you do the Mugs double here, Mr. Mackay and Norman Fletcher in the 217, you'll know what I'm talking about. The old porridge.
Yeah, good old Norman Stanley Fletcher. I can't remember what was the name of the
Indeed.
prison.
Oh, goodness. Slade? Was it
Slade
Slade?
Prison. Yeah, there you
Slade
go.
Prison. Well, on a more serious note, Mr. Mackay, he's one of the two Twiston Davis Raiders on Saturday. We don't need to explain to everybody how good a form Nigel's Yard is in at the moment. They're absolutely flying. This horse is coming back from chasing. He's coming back off a break. He's coming back into hurdles off 110. James Turner takes £5 off, which I think is a very good piece of news for backers indeed. And I think when you look back at Mr. Mackay's form in handicap hurdles last year, he was running really well off 113, 114. So being down to 110 and another five off down to 105, I think that's got a really good chance. And I'm hoping we might get a decent each way price on that as well. So Mr. Mackay in the lucky last.
Yeah, I fancy one in that as well. Just to keep an eye on. I'd be interested to see what price it opens up. But there's no betting at the moment. Is Moonshine Man for Henrietta Knight. Another trainer who I don't think is certainly going far back as 2009 has never had a runner at Musselburgh.
Yeah.
Uh, so that could be her first ever run. I would be 100% about that, but it could be. Ran a really nice race at Kempton on Boxing Day, over 2 miles. Just last race to get his handicap mark. Faded after two out. Been given a mark of 106. He's also got Scottish owners, which makes me
Yeah.
wonder, is this a meeting that they've targeted? Get your mark for this meeting. And Brendan Powell comes up for just one ride on a fairly busy weekend. Him coming all the way up to Musselburgh for one ride, I thought is maybe ticking a few boxes here with Henrietta tonight. Very, very rare or first ever runner at Musselburgh, and a jockey coming up for his only ride of the day. So I'll be interested to see that one, and hopefully it's a nice each way price.
Yeah, and Brendan Powell's dad, I think, is Henrietta's assistant trainer, so he might be there as well. Brendan Powell Senior, who won the Grand National, of course, all those years ago. So we're looking forward to Musselburgh on Saturday. I think we're going to move to Leopardstown Saturday next because that really is a fantastic card and a couple of horses just to touch on at the top, which I don't think are betting propositions, Robert, but Masborough in the Irish Arkle at 255 and Gallopin des Champs in the 330. I wouldn't be looking for anything to beat them, will you?
No, no, definitely not. The other race that's going to be very interesting is the Juvenile Hurdle.
Yeah,
Just to see, because at the moment, for the first time in a while, it looks like the British juveniles are stronger with La Lumba and East India Dock. So it'll be very interesting to see if someone comes out and blows the eyes off you in Ireland this weekend. So I think that's going to be a big interesting one for me.
yeah, very much one to watch. Again, I'm not going to put anything up in there. I'll have a close look at Hello Neighbour because Gavin Cromwell's horses are running so well. I'm going to talk about one of his horses later in the programme. But the big handicap hurdle, over 3 miles at 225. I'm very, very interested in a Gordon Elliott horse, and I know you are too, but it's a different Gordon Elliott horse. So we'll get to that. He had 12 entered in this race, Robert. He had 9 declared on Monday. He's got 5 in the race on Saturday, so he's down to his best 5, we have to assume. I'm going for Mordor, which is going to be the mount of Sam Ewing. And I think you're going to go for Pattern Merchant. So Mordor for me, because he's coming back off a break. He looks as if he's been laid out for this. Sam Ewing, I'm hoping, maybe had the choice. So that's why I'm on that. But wait for this. He was 50-1 last night. So it's definitely an each way bet. What about yours?
Well, mine's is 25-1, which is Patter Merchant. Now, you don't see many handicaps in Ireland that's only got one runner for Gigginstown. I thought that was quite
Yeah.
interesting. But he ran here over Leopardstown over Christmas. He ran well for a long, long way, given a kind of wide ride. Step up and trip here looks set to suit him. And James Smith, the jockey, claiming 5, ridden plenty of winners in his career. But this is only his second ride for Elliott, so I thought he'll be desperate to win and make an impression with those connections.
Well, if we can get one of those in the frame, we'll be doing okay. So Mordor for me and Pattern Merchant for Robert. I think we've got to mention Meeting of the Waters in that race. Rachel Blackmore riding down at the bottom for Willie Mullins, 10 stone 2, £36 lower over hurdles than he is over fences. He's absolutely thrown in if he's in any sort of shape at all. They were worried he wouldn't get in the race, but he sneaked in as the very last horse, number 26. You've got to have an eye on that. And maybe interesting, though, that Mark Walsh, the number 1 for JP, rides Percival Legalois, number 2. But I suspect he wouldn't have been able to do 10 stone 2 anyway.
Well, I had a look at that, and I mean, Willie Mullins horses, Willie Mullins jockeys. I think it's only Darrell Keefe who's done 10 stone 2 in recent times.
There you are.
So I wonder if that's, I mean, I don't know how often Rachel Blackmore does 10 stone 2, but I wonder if that's the reason behind the Blackmore booking.
Well, she rides on the flat at 9 stone 7, so I don't think there'll be any
Aye.
problem there. So I suspect you're right. I suspect she's the lightweight jockey in weight terms, of course, and she's the one on that one. So good luck to them all. So that should be a good race. So where are we going next?
Sandown, the 2 o'clock at Sandown. I quite like the look of Classic Maestro in this race. Going back to 2 Mile after stepping up with Tim at Haydock the last time out. He likes a small field. He looked really progressive until the Haydock run. I think 8-1 is a decent enough bet there. Do you fancy anything at Sandown, Jim?
The only one I looked at in that race was Marta Tor up the top, but I'm not going to have a bet, Robert, so I'm going to wish you luck with Classic Maestro. The one I was interested in later on, and I thought I might be stepping on your toes here because it's a Joel Parkinson Sue Smith horse. It's O'Connell, which is going to be ridden by Gavin Sheehan, who rode the horse at Carlisle when he won his first race in this little sequence. He's on a hat trick, going for the hat trick on Saturday. He's up £9 for winning at Market Raisin, but I thought he looked progressive. The other horse that fell, which escapes me, fell at the last, might have given him a race that day, but I still think O'Connell would have won. So I think the very fact they're going down to Sandown, the book Gavin Sheehan, I think they know him, they knows the horse. So I'm going to be looking for a price on Saturday morning. O'Connell in the 342. What do you think?
I couldn't put you off. I mean, I always like backing a Sue Smith horse, as you know. I mean, again, trainers that going outside the box and doing things they don't normally do. Although she did take Midnight Shadow down there to finish second in the Silly Isles a few years ago on
Yeah,
this card, so they don't go down there unless they think they've got a chance, do they?
they really don't. So that's what draws me to that. And I'm a big fan of Gavin Sheehan as well. So I'm hoping that he might be able to get that one home. And of course, once we have Saturday out the way, that's not the weekend over because Sunday is every bit as good, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've got Leopardstown again and Musselburgh again, where we've got the Edinburgh National, big sort of marathon trip in that one. What do you fancy in that, Jim? Have you picked one out there?
Yeah, very much so. Lucinda Russell won it last year with Inishoyer. He went up quite a lot for winning that race, quite rightly so, because he absolutely hacked up by 21 lengths. But amazingly, they've got the handicap mark right back down again to a very manageable mark. I think that will go very, very close to winning again. I noticed it was 7-1 on Thursday night before the declarations. I thought that was a good price. And Inishoyer will be the one for me for Lucinda Russell. But I know she runs Cadell as well, Robert.
Yeah, I quite fancy that one. I mean, he looks highly progressive when he won at Weatherby earlier in the season, and he went to Sandown and kind of got stuck in that tacky ground that you get down there. I was interested to read Ronnie Bartlett, who owns him, saying Ed Watson's column in the
Yeah.
Scottish Sun the other day that they think better ground is the key to him. They didn't think that at the start, but they think that now. Better ground, which he should get at Musselburgh, and he really thinks the marathon trip will bring out the best in him. So, be interesting to see which one of the Lucinda ones comes on out on top.
Yeah, very much so. And Inishower, I think they fancy that for the Irish Grand National at Fairyhouse later in the year. So they'll be looking for that to run well. And I don't think it would do any harm to go up £7 to go over there and race there. So I think Inishower will be going all out to win. And fingers crossed for that one. Anything else catch your eye at Musselburgh on Sunday, Robert? Or are we going to talk about Leopardstown?
I did quite like Thistle Ask for James Ewart in the 3:35. He was off for a long, long time and came back to finish second on his chase debut last time out at Ayr. Now, he's
Yeah,
raced pretty much exclusively at Ayr. Before he had his absence, he looked a highly progressive horse.
yeah.
Just I have a look at him in the betting and see what the market's saying about him. But away from here is a big question mark for me. Completely different tack to Musselburgh, obviously, but I thought he's one to certainly pay attention to.
Yeah, I'm not going to jump on with you in that one, but what I will say about Thistleask, having seen him up close a few times, he looks a class animal. So good luck with that Thistleask at Musselburgh on Sunday. But we're going to have one eye on Musselburgh and one eye on Leopardstown, aren't we?
Well, definitely. And Marine National is a horse that you've liked for a while. I mean, he's been a
Yeah.
bit in and out, hasn't he? I mean, little bits of promise, few disappointments. Are you going to stick with him this weekend?
Yeah, the more I look at Marine National, I've looked back at his two races this year, and particularly the last race. If you weren't disappointed that he didn't win, I think you look at that and say that was a good run. I think that run will have brought him on a bit. He obviously has ground to make up on Solness, the Joseph O'Brien horse. But I think Marine National, this could be his race. 2 miles a furlong round Leopardstown. You and I have both been to Leopardstown. It's a stiff left-handed track. They're on the collar all the way from the home bend. That's about 3.5 furlongs. It's left-handed, unlike these big tracks at Galway, Punchestown, Fairyhouse, which all come the other way, right-handed. This is the closest the Irish get to top-class racing at Cheltenham, going left-handed at Leopardstown. I think Marine National going left-handed here, stiff uphill finish. I think that'll suit him really well, and he could bounce right back into the champion chase picture by winning this. So I'm going to stick with Marine National. I've also noticed that the trainers' horses are just starting to run a little bit better than they were earlier in the season. Barry Connell's horses, and I think this is probably Marine National's day, win, lose or draw. So this might just be as good as he is, whatever happens.
Right. And then we'll get other Cheltenham clues from the graded races, but the handicaps are the ones that you're been focused on for punting wise. What else have you got at Leopardstown?
Yeah, I wanted to flag up Pinkerton for Noel Mead in the 245. I think that's been running very well in handicaps. I think he'll be suited by 2 mile, 5.5 round here at Leopardstown. I'll just stick that one up each way. But one I'm very interested in later on in the listed handicap hurdle, they have listed handicap hurdles over in Ireland. 2 miles round Leopardstown, a horse called Brave Troop, trained by Charlie Burns. Now everybody looks at Charlie Burns and thinks, oh, I wonder what he's up to. Well, he's got nothing to hide with this horse because he's won off 95, he's won off 111, and he now runs off 125. I think he's still on the upgrade. I think he's good enough to defy that mark. Remember, he was rated 87 on the flat. So I think this will probably be his last time in a handicap. I suspect he might be good enough to complete the hat trick. Brave Troop for me, and that's in the 350.
Well, Cheltenham is now fast approaching on the horizon, and we're going to every week now. We're going to have a wee look at Cheltenham races at the end of the show. Constitution Hill last week never really taught us anything, did we? We know he's still alive, he's still fit and well.
Yeah.
So, and I think after this weekend, we'll be in a better position to talk about some of the graded races. But the
Yeah.
handicaps are always interesting. It's always nice to try and dig one out early in the handicaps. You believe you've got one for the Boodles this year?
Yeah, I think I've got one for the Boodles. It's I think a lot of people have got this one for the Boodles, so I'm maybe not as far ahead of everybody as I thought I might be. I remember I napped Lark in the morning to win this race last year. It won at 9-1 for Joseph O'Brien. Gavin Cromwell's horse. It's called Total Look. It ran at Punchestown the other day. It was given tons of weight away to the other principals in the race. Um, let's just say I thought Keith Donoghue could have been harder on him. And I suspect that they maybe had Cheltenham in mind, maybe had Cheltenham in mind because he's already quite high in the handicap. I don't think they want too much more. I suspect the English handicapper might have a look at that and say, you're having another £4, mate, whether you like it or not. But Total Look, I think, in another half a furlong would have won that race by 6 lengths. Absolutely coasting up the home straight. I think Total Look for the Boodles has got a really good chance. He had really good maiden form on the flat at both 2 and 3. And I think he was given £15 and £11 to the winner and the second in that race at Punchestown the other day. And I think the Boodles is absolutely made for him. So we've missed the prices. He's 8 and 10-1. If he's still 8 and 10-1 on the day, I think we'll be laughing.
Well, one that we haven't missed the price on is our old friend Whistle Stop Tour, who, when you put him up last week, Jim, I did say I did wonder if it was maybe
Yeah.
a race with someone else in mind, and I think it might be. He's run down at Cheltenham last week, got him the fourth run to qualify for the Ultima because as a novice you now need 4 runs So he's now qualified. His mark's locked in at 137. Handicapper didn't change him for that run over 2.5 miles, which was too short. So I think he will go to the Ultima now. He's 50 to 1. And if you look at the stable's record in the race, it's phenomenal. Lucinda Russell's won it twice with Korak Rambler. Big River ran in the race twice and finished fourth and fifth. And if you go back 10 years, Green Flag ran in the race and finished fourth. So she's had four horses running it, and they've never been out the. Well, won it twice, never been out the money once. We talked a few weeks ago as well about how they think this is a Grand National horse. This race is absolutely perfect for him. I think this is where he will go. A mark of 137, he should get in. I think 134 was the lowest last year, so he'll get in. He'll be down the lower end of the weights, you would imagine, because it is getting a classier and classier race. The 2.5 miles last week was inadequate. I thought he jumped really well, and I think they'll go that half a stride slower in the over the 3 miles and a bit for the Ultima. I think he's absolutely perfect for it. Given the stable's record in the race, I don't think this horse will be near 50 to 1 in the day. I think you're
Yeah,
looking at this horse being 14 to 1, 16 to 1 in the day. So I'm not a huge fan of anti-post betting at Cheltenham these days, but the 50 to 1, I just had to take it the other day. So I think he's a knocking each way bet, and I expect if you back him each way just now, you'll be sitting on a horse that is 12, 14, 16 to 1 when the tapes go up.
what we really want, Robert, is something like 33 to 1 non-runner no bet, don't we?
Yeah.
So we'll have a look for that, and also just mention that they still have the option of hanging on for Uttoxeter on the Saturday, but the Ultima does seem to be the plan, as you said, and at those odds, we have to be sneaking on each way. So fingers crossed.
Well, what could possibly go wrong, Jim?
Exactly.
Right, thanks very much, folk. Good luck with your bets this weekend. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, everyone.